True. All right. So one other football thing before we move on,
Okay.
just because it is kind of local to us at least. The Cowboys move on from Kellen Moore.
I
How
didn't
did
actually see that.
you didn't see that? Okay. Well, then that also means that you didn't see that he is now the offensive coordinator for the Los Angeles Chargers. It happened. Both of those happened or he got let go yesterday and he signed today.
Okay. So while I was out.
Yeah. So that is fair. It is okay that you didn't know that. But yeah, so that actually makes it even better. So live reaction. How do you feel about the Cowboys moving on from Kellen Moore?
I don't think Kellen Moore was the problem.
I'm kind of somewhat with you there.
I I don't think he was the problem. I think Dak having a bad game was the problem. I don't think I don't know if play calling's gonna change the throws that Dak was making in that game. And I'm assuming it's based off of one game because you look at the body of work and the Cowboys have had a really good offense under Kellen Moore.
That's my
So it
argument. Last year
so
we
it,
were the number one.
so it can't be body of work. You have to be basing that off of the last game, which what this says to me is that the Cowboys were talking about moving on from the entire coaching staff and basically told McCarthy, you have to make changes on your staff or you're gone. And so he let go of Kellen Moore to save his own job.
And a lot of guys.
That would
He
be that would be my read on the situation, is that it was a let me get rid of this guy and we'll put the blame on him so that I don't get fired. This happens in college all the time.
right, and there are rumors. It hasn't been confirmed. At first, it was sourced to be confirmed, but I believe they came out and said that it actually isn't confirmed yet. That Mike McCarthy was going to take over play calling. And
Ugh.
if that was the case, it would more or less kind of feel like it was a hey McCarthy, here's your last chance. You better make this work.
Yeah, that's a
But
desperation move.
but no, I'm with you though. If you look back at the last few years, the Cowboys have been one of the best offenses in the NFL.
Yeah.
And if you can't forget about what they did through 5 games with Cooper Rush at quarterback. Like, yeah, the defense stepped up huge, but it wasn't all the defense. You still had to do some stuff on offense, and they were able to. And I think that was part of Kellen Moore's doing. Now,
Yeah.
I am on the side of believing that something kind of did have to give. So, is that the answer? I don't know, but it's something.
Yeah. I don't know, man. Doesn't feel like the right move to me.
Me neither, to be honest.
Just doesn't feel like the right move to me. Now, maybe he'll go elsewhere and crash and burn, and we'll find out that he wasn't very good to begin with. But I don't know. Like, I wasn't a huge believer in the Kellen Moore offensive coordinator thing when it happened, but I gotta say, I think he's done a good job.
I agree. I'm right there with you. I was weirded out just because he was so young and he was transitioning from being a player to a coach so quickly. So I didn't know how well that was going to be received in the locker room and stuff. But now that it's been a few years and you don't have a lot of guys that you actually played with, um, and so it's changed. I felt like he has matured and he has gotten a lot better at that job. And I always said like he's one of those guys. I mean, he went what was it like 51-3 in college football. Like he's the winningest quarterback in college football history.
Yeah,
And it's not about not knowing what to do. He just wasn't physically able to keep up with the NFL.
he was too small.
So yeah, but his
He was
but
just too
his
small.
football IQ and his knowledge of the game is all there. So I kind of I was skeptical, but I was optimistic about it, and then it ended up actually working out. And I think he will be a good offensive coordinator elsewhere. I don't know about head coach. I still think he's a little young for that. Not everybody's a Sean McVay.
Well, so I did hear a this was when around the time that Mike Leach passed away. I heard a story of a guy, a young a young quarterback that came to Texas Tech and basically was trying out for quarterback, but he didn't have it. He was too small. He but he had the mind. He just didn't have any of the physical tools.
Hmm.
And Mike Leach, kind of basically convinced him over a couple of weeks to join the coaching staff and, be a quarterback's coach for him. Wasn't immediately a quarterback's coach, but you know what I mean.
Right.
Join the coaching staff and work towards that. You know who that guy is now? Lincoln Riley.
Oh my gosh. Dang. I did not know that. That's a good story.
So
And dude, USC's looking good.
yeah,
Dang. That's crazy, man. I
and
mean, yeah,
Lincoln
that
Riley was the youngest coach in Oklahoma history and one of the youngest coaches to ever coach a Power Five school.
yep. That's why a lot of people that aren't in sports don't understand how people can coach others that have never actually played that sport, or not necessarily never played it, but never played it at a high level. It's because sometimes you know everything and you were able to play it at a high level at a
Yeah.
certain point, but you can't anymore or you aren't able to keep up. So,
Well, it's like a this is a baseball analogy, but somebody there was a question of why the best players don't make the best coaches, and somebody responded to him and said, well, how good of a pitching coach could Randy Johnson be? Nobody else throws 97 like he does. He can't just teach somebody to throw 97.
hey, just do it like I
What
do it.
he Yeah, the best players, and this works not just in sports but in other professions as well. Mathematicians are not great people to be teaching math because it comes so easy to them that they don't comprehend when you don't understand it. It's
Right.
the same thing with coaching. If you're really, really good at something, you're just naturally gifted at doing something, it is very difficult for you to teach that to somebody else. The best coaches are the ones that have to fight, struggle, claw their way to whatever level that they got playing wise, because they know how to get that little tiny
And
edge that makes them just that little bit better
right.
just to make it.
They know what it took.
Like the difference between struggling to be the 26th person on a major league roster and being a top three guy on a major league roster trying to become number one. Those are different mentalities, and usually
Yep.
the guy that's scratching and clawing to make the roster is going to be a better coach than the one scratching and clawing to get to number one instead of number three.
Right. And now there are rare cases where that really good player can also be a really good coach. It does
Yeah,
happen
it
sometimes.
happens. It's just
Not all the
rare.
time. It's
It's just
hard to even,
more rare.
I can't even really think of, I mean, no,
Great
I can't
player
even think of.
becoming a great coach.
Yeah.
I
I
mean,
mean, there are,
it's still early, but Dion, if he's successful at Colorado,
yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one.
um,
I was thinking baseball because there's a lot of managers that used to be
Dusty
players.
Baker, Dusty
Dusty
Baker
Baker,
was a great player and has been a great manager. Uh,
that's a good one. But he wasn't like a star. You know what I mean? I don't know
you
if
look
there
at his
has been
numbers, he's
any.
pretty damn good player.
Well, you're right, and I wasn't around when when
Very,
he was
very,
playing. So
his numbers very much tell the story of a Hall of very good guy. Um,
right,
as a player. Like he's around like 40 WAR, I think, in his career, which is about 20. It's about 2/3 of a Hall of Fame career.
yeah.
Um, Joe Torre, I think, was a really good
Joe
player.
Torre's a good one. That's a good one. Dang, I feel like I had a couple. Don Mattingly, he
Um,
he was a pretty big star with the Yankees, and then now he's
yeah, he's had a
been a
couple of
coach for a long time.
decent managerial stints. Um, but yeah, that's most of your best managers, best coaches are they're guys that just barely made it, or guys that came up through the system coaching.
Yeah, or even like career triple or career minor leaguers that
Yeah.
end up becoming coaches. Yeah, that happens too. So